वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणम Shri Radha Namaste Saraswate Gaurani Nirvishre Sashanavati Krishna Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Hare Shri Krishna Chaitanya Guru Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 We continue with 1040 today. 1040. न अंतोस्ति मम दिव्यनाम विभूतिनां परन्तप एषा सुदेशतः प्रोक्तो विभूतिर्विस्तरो मया. O mighty conqueror of the enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences. As stated in the Vedic literature, although the opulences and energies of the Supreme are understood in various ways, there is no limit to such opulences. Therefore, not all the opulences and energies can be explained. Simply a few examples have been described to Arjuna to pacify his inquisitiveness. Yad yad vibhuti matsatvam Shrimad Purjitam Eva
श्रीमत्पूजितम् एवं
Tattat Eva Vagachatvam
तदत एवादुगच्छत्वम्
Mama Tejo Amsha Sambhava.
मम तेजो संभवाम्.
Know that all the opulence, beautiful and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. Any glorious or beautiful existence should be understood to be a fragmental manifestation of Krishna's opulence, whether it be in the spiritual or the material. Anything extraordinarily opulent should be considered to represent Krishna's opulence. Krishna's opulence has a very soothing characteristic. We see that Krishna's opulence actually coming in touch with Krishna's opulence, we get vision. We can see things as they are. Whereas when this opulence is reflected in a perverted sense through Maya, then that has a nature that it blinds the living entity. Therefore, Krishna channelizes or regulates the vision or his opulence through revelation. So on one hand, the Krishna seeing the sincerity of the individual sadhaka, he reveals, and on the other hand, the living entity touching to deeper depths of taking shelter of the Lord, in attempt to take shelter of the Lord, touching deeper depths actually. The living entity can see the opulence manifested in. So Lord's revelation are like the rays of the sun, and these rays of the sun, when they spread actually, one can see more and more in connection to Krishna. And these rays of the sun spread actually, it's like as the sun rays spread, more and more patch of land is lit up actually. So similarly, as the rays of the sun spread, more and more patch of land is lit up. In a similar fashion, we see that as the rays of the opulence of Krishna spread, one can see, a sadhaka can see more and more in connection with Krishna. So the rate at which these rays spread is proportional to the attempts of the sadhaka to devotee to sincerely take shelter of Krishna. To what degree the devotee attempts to take shelter of Krishna. Everything depends on that. This is very nicely explained in this sentence. Because Arjuna is taking shelter of Krishna, so Krishna is revealing a spark of his opulences. And in the spark of his opulences, Arjuna doesn't get dazzled, but Arjuna is able to see the whole situation of his life and the situation at war which is impending in a proper light. So, what is a service and what is not a service? What steps to take and what steps not to take? A devotee may always may get bewildered. So bewilderment is the nature of the living entity in the conditioned state. And so what one needs is the light of the Krishna's opulence actually, Krishna's mercy. Just like I remember, I believe 2007 in Ravan Yatra, Kartik. Radha Swami Maharaj was taking the inaugural lecture. That time Jeta Maharaj's health was very bad. He was in the Kirtan hospital, he got home. So Radha Maharaj is making a point that actually he had almost cancelled the yatra, not coming actually. As a service to be available for the great stalwart Acharya, Srila Jepataka Maharaj. So then Radhanath Swami is making the point. When he was praying in that way, he was considering what could be a better service. And then he was feeling that a better service would be to go to Vrindavan morning and every day pray for the well-being of Jagannatha. Then he was making a point that not only himself praying, but then made 5,000 devotees pray. Then when he was talking in the inaugural lecture, he said this yatra is dedicated to Jagannatha Maharaj, offering of prayer for Jagannatha Maharaj. And he was very intensely praying actually every single day when he was news. And then all the devotees would pray for Jagannatha Maharaj. So what is the service actually? Or what is better service? Can be understood in the light of uh, proximity to Krishna. In the light of proximity. Therefore, a sadhaka should always try to move towards a situation, to move towards a situation which is more vibrant with spiritual energy. Arjuna had association with Krishna before. So that Arjuna was never having association with Krishna, now only he got to hear in the yatra he had come. So obviously it's a war field. Then it's not that only in the war field there was someone Arjuna getting some association. Arjuna had very wonderful association with Krishna. But the problem was that the setting was not vibrating with spiritual energy in that sense. Because there were friendly talks. Arjuna was not seeing the whole situation, accessing the spiritual potency of the whole situation. And this being the case, actually, the light was not sufficient for him to understand and solve the problem of him. So when he surrendered to Krishna, and then the Lord started revealing, the channel of Lord's revelation became perfect and complete, actually. Uh, then we can see that Arjuna's moha is finished. He has got that intelligence. Nashto moham smritirumah. And he has got that intelligence. Everything is very crystal clear in front of everyone. So this is a very is an important lesson, because this points out that the channel of the channel of our heart and surroundings has to be arranged in a manner that the Lord's mercy or the Lord's revelation can flow. And if the Lord's revelation does not flow, then it is very difficult to take up situations in life. So we don't need money to live in this world. We need Krishna's revelations. Because if Krishna does not reveal and he is not merciful upon us, then it is not easy to tread forward actually. So that is why a sadhaka should be always looking for Krishna's revelations. So our struggle is to create a more and more vibrant spiritual atmosphere. Because only in such an atmosphere is the channel created in which the Lord's revelation will be there. So we say Krishna's revelation is like the sun. These revelations are not scorching. They are lighting everything, but they are not scorching. It's very soothing, in effect. But Maya's revelations, although they appear to be very attractive, but they actually burn the living anything. This is the perverted nature of this world, actually. That is why It takes time to understand what is service. It takes struggle to understand what is pleasing to Krishna. That is why Srila Prabhupada took a lifetime in preparation. It's not that any step we take, anything we do, that is service. No. How to convert an activity into a service requires Krishna's revelation. And therefore, a sadhaka should be always. So that is why it is said that the mood of prayers and dependence should be a constant mood, actually. Because if this mood of prayers and dependence is not there, then the channel is not proper. The transmission of Krishna's revelations is not going to take place. And in such a case, there will be abject darkness. So, in this fashion, we can understand that uh, the mood of dependence is very important. That we are able to take shelter of Krishna. So, and the amazing thing is that Krishna always has a stock of nourishment. So that's the nature of Krishna. So when you come in touch with Krishna in any way, form, then one feels nourished. But when you come in touch with mental energy, then one feels empty, one feels dry. Just like we can see, sometimes one lands up in ending in Prajalpa, for example. So after some time of Prajalpa, one feels very dry, as if what was going on. The energy is drained out. That's the nature of mind. The energy, the light, everything is drained out. And the nature of Krishna is vitalizing. It revitalizes actually the energy. One serves more and wants to serve more and more. One chants more and wants to chant more and more. One hears more and wants to hear more and more. One preaches more and wants to preach more and more. So Somar was asking question as neophytes what we should do actually. We should struggle for Krishna's revelations actually. Therefore one very solid thing to do is that very strong sadhana, a very strong Vishnu service. So that the vision is more clear than before. The vision is more clear. So we get clarity by sadhana, we get clarity by guidance. And We get clarity by seeing the examples. So basically, we have to enter deeper spiritual energy, and there should be a constant attempt to do that. And then, whatever steps we take, one has to be careful. We take a step and evaluate. Is it service? Is it pleasing? If it is, we go ahead. If it is not, we step back. अनुकूल्यस्य संकल्पः प्रतिकूल्यस्य वर्धनम्. So we test and see. The testing is in light of a higher spiritual dimension. The testing is not in light of material. Okay, my self-gratification is getting to wonderful. No. What about service? What about our enthusiasm? What about our protection? What about our nourishment? So these aspects are important. Everyone should take time, take guidance, and then we take steps very carefully, one by one. One step, then see the results. Then accordingly we decide whether to step forward or backward. So know that all opulent, beautiful and glorious creations spring from a but a spark of my splendor. So Krishna's splendor is very nourishing. So always there is a stock. We anyways connect to Krishna. We get a stock of nourishment. So that's true. If it is even if it is yatra, even if it is some service, even if it is some Krishna Katha, even if it is Bhagavatam, the nourishment is there. And therefore that nourishment is what we should always try to gather. We go to the next verse. Atha bahunaitina
यथा बहुनेतेन
किं ज्ञातेन तवर्जुनः
किं ज्ञातेन तव अर्जुन
निष्ठाभ्याहमिदं कृष्णं
निष्ठभ्यामहं कृष्णम्
एकं शेन स्थितो जगत्.
एकं सेन सितो
But
जगत्.
what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. The Supreme Lord is represented throughout the entire material universes by his entering into all the things as a super soul. The Lord here tells Arjuna that there is no point in understanding how things exist in their separate opulence and grandeur. You should know that all things are existing due to Krishna's entering them as super soul. From Brahma, the most gigantic entity, on down to the smallest ant, all are existing because the Lord has entered each and all and is sustaining them. There is a mission that regularly propounds that worship of any demigod will lead one to the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the Supreme Goal, but worship of the demigods is thoroughly discouraged here. Because even the greatest demigods like Brahma and Shiva represent only a part of the opulence of the Supreme Lord. He is the origin of everyone born and no one is greater than him. He is Asama, Urdhva, which means that no one is superior to him and that no one is equal to him. In the Padma Puran, it is said that one who considers the Supreme Lord Krishna in the same category as with the demigods, be they even Brahma or Shiva, becomes at once an atheist. If, however, one studies the different descriptions of the opulences and expansions of Krishna's divinity, then one can understand without any doubt the position of Lord Krishna and can fix his mind in the worship of Krishna without deviation. The Lord is all pervading by the expansion of his partial representation. The super soul who enters into everything that is. The Lord is all pervading by the expansion of his partial representation, the Super Soul, who enters into everything that is. Your devotees therefore concentrate their minds in Krishna consciousness, in full devotional service. Therefore, they are always situated in transcendental position. Devotional service and worship of Krishna are very clearly indicated in this chapter in verses 8 to 11. That is the way of your devotional service. How can one attain the highest devotional perfection of association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Has been thoroughly explained in this chapter. Srila Baldev Bhushan, a great Acharya and a disciple succession from Krishna, concludes his commentary on this chapter by saying, Yachati leshat suryada bhavanti ati ugra tejasah yadam shena dharam vishwam sa krishno dasame archate. From Lord Krishna's potent energy, even the powerful sun gets its power, and by Krishna's partial expansion, the whole world is maintained. Therefore, Lord Shri Krishna is worshipable. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purpose to the 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of the opulence of the Absolute. So, just like the fire has to be invoked, just like electricity has to be switched on for everything to be lit. Although all the arrangements are there, the wirings are there, everything is there. In a similar fashion, the Lord's mercy has to be invoked. Krishna has made all arrangements for his mercy to reach out to everyone. But unless the sadhaka struggles in that way, the mercy does not flow. Mercy does not flow. So prayers and dependence is the way by which the mercy of the Lord can be invoked. And the mercy of the Lord can be channelized. Things are moving because the Lord has entered. And things will move only if the Lord enters. That is the point. Therefore, in anything and everything, it is very important that the 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 whole setup remains spiritual. Just like, for example, in relationships, if we as devotees keep our relationships spiritual, that means the content of our relationships is mostly service, proper, the service to the mission, Krishna Katha, then that relationship will move forward. But if the relationship glides down to Jalpa, some light, sometimes they would say some light talks or some, normal atmosphere or whatever, then actually the material component increasing will strain the relationships in due course of time as well. and nothing will move forward actually. Because only when the Lord enters, things move actually, and the Lord enters when there is intensity. That is the point. Just like in the Kheturi festival, the intensity of the devotees longing for Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda increased, then their lordships manifested. It's like in Panihati festival also. Lord Chaitanya manifested only when the hankering and the intensity and the longing increased and accepted the offering of Chidadahi. So, things will move when the Lord enters, and the Lord will enter in proportion to the intensity. So therefore, the spiritual content is very important. We need to upkeep the spiritual energy. Similarly, we see that any structure, any concept can sustain only if the spiritual energy is a prime factor. If material energy is made a prime factor, it will not sustain. It will become mundane actually. Just like the yoga voice or seva kunj. If the spiritual energy is a prime factor, that yoga voice seva kunj will continue to exist and grow. But if other things become a prime factor, then it will not grow actually. So this is the point. There will be fights, there will be disturbance, there will be debates. People will be cozy, they will be influenced by sense gratification, slowly people will move out. Therefore, it is very important that whatever setups we are in, that we add on very enthusiastically to the spiritual atmosphere of the setup. The morning program has to be very strong. Principles of service attitude should be very strongly laid down by our own examples. And there has to be vibrant teaching. If that is not there, the setup will not exist. Everything will crumble. Everything will crumble actually. So this is the point actually. In reality, everything is manifest in proportion to the spiritual vibrations. The same is true for everything. How much we are connected to Guru and Prabhupada is also manifest in terms of how much we are struggling to be connected to more and more spiritual energy. Actually, if we are vibrant in our struggles to serve Krishna, we are very strongly connected to Guru, very strongly connected to the Parampara. But if we are coasting along, we are not connected or very loosely connected. So Krishna's presence has to be invoked actually. That is the very important lesson which we are seeing here. And Arjuna is attempting here. You see, Arjuna's attempt is like the footsteps, and our actions and our desires should follow in these footsteps actually. So Arjuna is attempting, he is wanting to understand Krishna's opulence. And now after this, Arjuna is also very satisfied and very clear. But now after this, Arjuna is going to want to see Krishna. That means what Arjuna is striving for at this point of time.